God bless you, friends. It is such an honor to share God's word with you when it comes to our relationships and creating atmospheres for relationships to thrive. Today is our last lesson in this mini series that we've been doing over communication temptations. Today is communication temptation number 4, and it has to deal with our anger. Proverbs 14:17 says, "A quick-tempered person does foolish things, and the one who devises evil schemes is hated." And see, we have to understand that it's in our anger we make some of the most foolish decisions that we'll ever make in our entire life. That if we go back and we look at how much life we've lived up to this point, the things that we regret the most are oftentimes things that we done in our anger. And as we're talking about communication temptation, the enemy will come against each and every one of us as he tries to destroy our relationships that we have with our spouse, our relationship with our children, our relationship with friends, and our relationship with coworkers and the people we worship with. The enemy will come in and try to rip people apart. That's how he does. That's how he works. He tries to divide and conquer. And one of the great temptations that he likes to throw in front of us is anger. And one of the most foolish things that we do in our anger is we lose control of our mouth. Let's think about this for a moment. How many spouses say things to their spouse that they don't really mean? And see, that's the big temptation that Satan throws our way, is that in our anger, when we lose control of our mouth, we say things that we ordinarily or normally wouldn't say. We say things that we don't mean. And our words, once they're out there, we can't just grab them and bring them back. And our words are powerful. Remember, we've already talked about how powerful our words are, and they can build people up. And God gave us the ability to speak life into people and life into situations. But that power that we have in our tongue can also be used to destroy people. And it's in our anger that we will lose control of our mouth and will say things to our spouse that we will regret later. Think about it. It's in your anger that you say things to your children that instead of building them up, it tears them down. It's in our anger that we lose control of our mouth and our tone of voice, and we raise our voice out of frustration. And instead of building our sons and daughters up, we tear them down. It's in our anger in our workplaces that instead of communicating in a healthy way with one another, instead of being an encourager, instead of being a good listener, instead of being there for one another to take on whatever mission it is that you take on in your workplace, anger. And when we lose control of our mouth, we'll absolutely destroy the atmosphere and make it toxic, where relationships will not thrive. When we speak from our anger in our homes, to our spouses, to our children, to our siblings. Come on, siblings. Young people, if you're watching this video, how many times have you said something to a brother or a sister that you didn't mean? But in a moment of anger, you said, maybe even, "I hate you." See, friends, a quick-tempered person does foolish things. And then one of the most foolish things that we do in our anger is we lose control of our mouth and we begin to tear one another down. And relationships are just like the school's grading system. You can take an A to an F overnight, but it takes a long time to bring that F back to an A. Relationships can be damaged so quickly, and it takes so much hard work for that restoration to take place many times. Your response to people will be, to some extent, a deciding factor in how much conflict you will have in your everyday life, in your home, in your workplace, the place you worship, the place that you live your life in. The way you respond to one another will be a deciding factor of how much conflict you have in your life. Proverbs 15:1 says, a gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. See, we've already talked about this. Are you going to react to people, or are you going to respond to people? Because Proverbs 15:1 tells us to respond with a gentle answer. When we're dealing with anger, when someone's lost control of their mouth, you can either throw gasoline on the fire and you can react in anger, or you can respond with a gentle answer and you can de-escalate the situation. Friends, let us seek God and ask Him to help us to be able to control our tongue, to be able to control the words that are coming out of our mouth. Remember, sometimes the best thing that we can do is just say, 1 Holy Father, 2 Holy Father, 3 Holy Father, before we open our mouth and respond to someone, before we open our mouth and we communicate with someone, to refocus our mind around Christ. God bless you, friends. It's time to make family first. It's time to have healthy relationships.